So here it is. This is pretty exciting for myself. This is the place I've bought, so it cost me $250,000. I'm yet to pay that, that's for sure. Luckily, the federal government's got a first home buyers deposit scheme where you only actually need 5% of deposit depending on the location, the price, and whatnot. So luckily for me, I only needed around $12,500 to actually buy this place. The logic behind buying a place over renting was that the price of rentals was so high that it sort of just made sense to buy. And the plan with this sort of place is to use it as a stepping stone to allow me to buy a better place moving forward, and then hopefully do that one up and then buy a better place and sort of find my way and climb the ladder in that sort of sense. So yeah, this is a place I bought. Yet to actually see it in person. So I've only got these photos to look at. And yeah, so I'm pretty much just going to show you through it. So this is pretty much a front. This is a Queenslander. It's a high set, but the actual distance under the house is, I think, flat 2 meters. So it's not a lot of room under there, but it's enough to enclose the bottom really nicely. One of the things looking at buying a house in far north Queensland was going between, say, like a Queenslander or a block or brick home type thing. But one of the things with the Queenslanders, they seem to go for a lot more, and there seems to be a lot more return on investment with them. Like a single-story brick house you could get for, say, between 200 to 250,000. You can go up, way up, like you could go to the moon with it, of course, but that's sort of your bottom limit. Where the Queenslanders, they all sort of start at about 250,000. They're a bit sought after, and once they're done up and presentable, then they go for between that like mid 300s, around that sort of price bracket. They do have the advantage of being able to enclose the bottom. You've also got the ventilation, and I think it's a bit of like that style sort of thing, the old sort of Queenslander style. But this place is interesting because it doesn't sort of have that true, authentic Queenslander view from the front, but inside it still has the high ceilings, the hardwood floors. So there is a lot of potential with this, and that's the sort of thing I was looking for, was something that I can easily add value to and use as a stepping stone to sort of progress myself. The other thing that I'm really looking forward to is having such a big project. Throughout my whole life, I've sort of always had little projects going, and I sort of love fixing things and being hands-on and making things better, and that's sort of how I continue to learn and continue to grow my skill set and my knowledge, is by taking on these sort of projects that are foreign to me, and I don't fully know what's in store, but I'm more than willing to have a crack and to learn along the way. And luckily in this day and age, we've got some really cool technology and platforms that it allows you to have no idea and just to have a crack. I think, yeah, during this whole build or renovation, I'm pretty much going to be looking at YouTube and researching and watching videos about how to do stuff. So it should be really interesting. So moving inside, you can see that the house has got hardwood floors and high ceilings, which is really nice. Especially just with the floors, you can get them sanded up and polished, and they really come up nicely. So it's sort of an easy thing you can do to add a lot of value to the house and make it very presentable.
One thing which I don't like is all the old style windows, just because they haven't been maintained, they're cracked, the painting that's been done on them to maintain them hasn't been done properly. So to actually restore them's way too much effort. So what I'll be doing over the next few years is trying to pick up some secondhand windows that sort of fit that space to replace them with. So the house itself, I think, was built around 1950s to 1960s. I'm not 100% sure just because there's no true record of it. I do have the surveying plans, which was done in 1950s, but that's for the whole sort of area. And that estimation of that 1950s to 1960s is also based on just the materials used and also the houses around that area. One of the annoying things when I was back in Sydney looking at buying this house was that there was no floor plan given. So going through the house, it was really hard to get a true understanding of what rooms were located where, and also just the true size of the rooms, because we know what real estate agents are like with their cameras. They seem to make every room look a lot bigger than it actually is. So that was one of the biggest fears of buying it sort of sight unseen, was not having a true understanding of the conditional size of the house. So moving into the next room, this was the room that actually attaches to the last room we saw. So just at that doorway at the end. This room is sort of the living room, I guess. It's sort of hard to say, but what's really nice is those sort of, what would you call them, sort of pressed metal ceiling pieces that you can see just at the very top there. Other things, again, just those nice big floors, and then also the fan that's there. A big thing that I did like was this sort of front room just there, sort of as a sunroom. You could sort of set that up as an office, something like that, and can be presented really nicely. The other good thing is you'll notice the windows have already been replaced with sliding windows, which is nice because they're easier to maintain and you can also fit fly screens to them easier. Something I did also like was the timber trims around the windows, but I didn't like the timber paneling on the walls. So my plan with this when I saw it was to, and it still is, to paint all the walls and whatnot white. And yeah, I won't be replacing the paneling or anything like that, but just painting it all white. So moving into the next room will be a bedroom, which is sort of where the person is that's taking this photo. It's just to the right.
So looking at this room, you can see it's similar to all the others. The only difference is this room doesn't have the older style windows. It's actually had the windows replaced with more modern sliding windows, which is a handy thing. You can also see there's one of those window rattlers, the air conditioning units just there. What is a bit of concern is that there is an open space above that aircon, so it's sort of open to elements at the moment. I have asked the real estate agent to see if she can pull the aircon out and shut the door, but unfortunately it's like bolted in there. So the other thing with this room, you can see there's built-ins, so I'll be stripping them out, putting brand new wardrobes in, but besides that, it's really just going to get a lick of paint and floors done.
So coming out the back, you can sort of see the size of the yard, which is sort of nice. There's a few trees. You've got some nice timber fencing. The house looks really nice from this sort of aspect. And also the louvers on the left hand side there. That's sort of a sought after thing in Queenslander style houses, just because it allows a lot of airflow to come through. Again, another disadvantage was just the old style window on that bedroom to the right there. But again, it's sort of got a lot of potential, which is the biggest thing that I was looking for, because I want to be, well, I am doing this up to make it better and to hopefully make some money on and use it as a stepping stone for my next property that I actually want to live in long term. So back upstairs, we're looking at the kitchen now, which is disgusting. When you actually see it in person, you'll realize why. It's just a bitzer of a thing, and there's sort of just stuff everywhere, there's stains everywhere. It's so gross. But one of the good things is underneath this lino is actually timber floors. So that's one of the things that I'll be doing, is completely gutting this room. The plan for this area is to build this into a master bedroom, and most likely board in that window at the end there and have a nice big window just on the side. So with the kitchen, I'll be moving it back into that first room we saw, and you'll see more of this as the series goes on. So now this is the second bedroom, so it is a 2-bedroom house. There's not really much you can tell from this photo, except the old style windows that I can't wait to replace because I really hate them. As I said, there's not much really you can tell from this photo, besides, yeah, just the bad windows. And finally, this is that sort of front sunroom that we saw. Originally, this was actually the entry to the house. However, this front door has been bolted shut, and the stairs that are actually meant to be outside have been removed. And I think I'm going to keep it this way. I don't really like where the stairs would be and where the entry is, just because once I build a fence around the place, it's sort of going to be an awkward spot. And also just entering from this room is a bit awkward. If I sort of block that in, then it allows me to make this into more of an office space and do a lot more with it. And it's sort of really nice just because it gets the sun at all hours of the day. And also you can see there's a views in the window. However, classic real estate, you never know if it's actually really what you're seeing out those windows. So we'll see when I rock up what it's actually like. So that's pretty much the house as I saw it when I was back in Sydney. The house was listed on, I think, a Thursday morning, and I called at about like 10 a.m, got an inspection booked in for 2 p.m, and had a virtual FaceTime inspection to actually have a look at it. And then by close of business, I had my offer of 250,000 in. And from there, it was sort of a stressful few days because the offer was initially rejected and they like had a counter offer. But again, I stuck with that 250,000, and then they said they'll sit on it until over the weekend, until Monday. And then I don't think it was until probably Monday or Tuesday that I actually found out that the offer was accepted under the conditions of finance and pending building and pest inspection. So the way that I bought this house was using the federal government's first home buyer deposit scheme, which requires you to only have a 5% deposit. So on this house of 250,000, I only needed $12,500 as a deposit, which is why I was able to do it. And the reason I decided to buy a house is just because of the rental prices where I was looking were so high and the housing prices were so low. And as I said earlier, I love having a project. So this was sort of my first entry into the housing market that I could use as sort of a stepping stone. So by putting time and effort and money into this house, I can increase its value and then in a few years sell it and then use it as the deposit for the house that I really want. So that's the sort of rationale behind it and the reason I've decided to do it. So what you're going to see now is me rocking up to the house for the first time after being in 14 days mandatory hotel quarantine due to COVID. So forgive me for being a bit all over the shop with the camera. It's the first time I've sort of done this sort of thing. And also, I just bought a house and I'd been looking at these photos for the past 14 days and just going over plans in my head of what I want to do without actually knowing any measurements. And yeah, so as I said, I was all over the shop and you'll be able to see that with the footage. But the plan of this whole series, well, it's not really a series, but I'm pretty much going to try and document the whole renovation of this house, which I'll be doing on my own. I'm going to be doing all the work myself. And it's going to be a big learning experience for myself because most of the stuff I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing for the first time. And pretty much just using YouTube and other professional channels for information and to see how to do it properly. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy it and subscribe if you want to see what happens with this place because it's going to be pretty exciting. As I said, it's my first house that I've ever bought. I'm 25. So yeah, you'll tell that I'm pretty excited and yeah, forgive me for my poor filming and video editing skills. So here we go. So here we go. After being in isolation for 14 days and buying this place sight unseen, I'm finally up here and I'm about to pull in. And here she is. Oh, big truck. Here we go. So, it's officially mine. So while I've been waiting for settlement, I've gone and bought a whole heap of supplies. Here she is. Nice. Old toilet. Here we go. So I don't actually have keys for the place yet. I'm waiting for a call from the real estate agent, who I'm going to guess is going to meet me here. It's a bit dodgy, this. This is only goes to 3/4 of the way up to the roof. So I'm going to be pulling this down. It's one of the jobs. So it's pretty dirty. Definitely needs a paint. So, here she is. Super high ceilings. Nice timber floor that I'll get sanded and polished. Check out these. I love these. These are really cool. I really would like to keep them, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible because the plan, this room's actually huge. The plan is to actually put a corridor through here. So you walk into here and you'll walk straight through. And I'm going to knock a doorway into here, fill this door. But shit, this room's way bigger than I expected, hey? And this is the dodginess, this front door. The only thing holding this front door shut right now is this one screw. So I'm not sure if that's even with the council regulations. But yeah, it's actually way bigger than I thought. I'm really, really happy with that. I really like the high ceilings. It makes the rooms feel really big. It's a lot dirtier than I expected. And you can see like previous people have literally just thrown paint over the walls, which is fine. Like I'm going to be doing the same, but it'd be nice to be able to clean it up a bit. Just little basic things like these light switches. So pulling them off, oh, look at that. I reckon this is all original. And this, every time I've touched crutches to move, I've always ended up hurting my knee, so I'm going to be leaving that one in there and I'll get someone else to move it. Check it out. Another bedroom. This is actually quite a small room, but it's not so bad. I don't actually mind it. I wonder if they were running a bloody hotel or something. This is the other thing. You can only assume. Check it out. It's a mango tree. So while I've been waiting for Selman, I've been picking up all my deliveries and whatnot, and orders, and the car's bloody full to the brim of stuff I've bought for the house. So I picked up all the fencing materials, so the first thing I'm going to be doing over the next few days is securing the place and building a big fence.